Hola, hello, good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome Karol Kaminski and to introduce you our speaker today in our Santander Biomedical Lectures. Karol is the head of the cardiology department at the University Hospital in Bialystok in the northeast Poland. He's a very active person in cardiology, for sure. He's in the, representative in the National Committees of Cardiology, and also he has been Vice Dean in the medical school in Bialystok, and now Vice-Rector in Open Science, there also at the university. But he's here especially because Bialystok is part of our UNICE, EUNICE in Spanish, UNICE consortia in Europe that group several universities, among which is the Cantabria University is. And he's coming because we established connections because EUNICE and also because our cohorts. Cantabria cohort, you know, has a bit more than 3 years long time, and Bialystok plus Polish longitudinal university study has been for long. They started in 2018. He's going to explain very well, and I think this is a very nice talk in which we can find connections to connect each other, both cohorts and people, even people from cardiology from here, in which we can be involved in studies. I know that the head of the Department of Cardiology at our hospital is now abroad.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Let me show where we are. We are in the northeastern part of Poland. We are a dedicated medical university, not a general university. And we have been previously ranked as a leading national research center in one of the grants. This is the seat of our university. So the palace, the 17th century palace has been rebuilt, and this is where our rectorate and the authorities. But the hospital has been rebuilt recently. It's a large tertiary hospital. At the moment you don't see here our building. Our building is just here. It's not that building, that's the picture just before our building was built, and you can see on the first slide how the building also for population studies does look like. I will show you later. We were starting based on the clinical hospital of our cohort, but in 2023 we have moved to this new building where we can perform examinations according to our very strict standard operating procedures. So what we have is called Bialystok Plus. So Bialystok is the name of the city, plus Polish Longitudinal University Study, and the follow-up, so the second evaluation of our participants we called complex multimorbidity investigations, because the first part of our analysis showed us that multimorbidity is really a key medical problem, where we have many overlapping diseases that increase intricacy and also complexity of the treatment, but also diagnosis. The reason why we have started our project was that we wanted to move away from the typical linear or circular aspect of medicine, of research in medicine, where we look at exposure, then based on the exposure, we think that there is a development of disease, so we look for the symptoms, for diagnostics, because the reality is much more complicated. Because, for example, genes or genetic predispositions affect all these single aspects, and also environmental stressors, environmental factors can influence all those situations. So only when we analyze simultaneously genes, environment, society also, and biological factors, we can really show the full complexity of the situation. Therefore, we have moved away from the study that might assess only one system or organ into the study where we analyze the whole patient within its or her or his own environment, social environment, family environment, and also economic environment. So the hypothesis that drive our studies is that, first of all, the factors that affect development of lifestyle diseases, lifestyle-associated diseases, are not fully elucidated, and the part that we find most interesting is the part where the interaction between different organs are affecting each other. Therefore, because until recently, many longitudinal studies mostly concentrated on single organ or on single system or single disease. Therefore, we think that there is a large field for improvement in terms of analyzing these interactions between different organs and different systems. And then it's not only that we can diagnose that, or we can look at those problems, but also we can improve the situation by intervention on the population level. So we can, by intervention on population level, we can decrease the burden of the lifestyle-associated diseases. Of course, we were not first, we were not second, we were also, what we consider as our strength is that we would like to be compatible with as many other cohorts, as many other analyses as only possible. And actually, our partner in the development of the program was Study of Health in Pomerania. This is a study which was initially started in 1997 in Greifswald, northeast Germany. And they have also developed first sister study, which was SHIP Pomerode in Brazil, and also a very large cohort called Nationale Cohorta, which is not a sister but very similar study. We took many, we were given many procedures by these teams, and for example, our magnetic resonance imaging is one-to-one, the one that they do in Nationale Cohorta. Most of the questionnaires and also examinations are one-to-one, what they do in SHIP Trend in Greifswald. Therefore, we can easily compare the results. The way we look at our research is not only that we look for the new findings in the science, but we would like to contribute to the society and simultaneously foster development of new technologies. Therefore, we think that our study is just in a place overlapping between these three aspects, where we combine research, contribution to society, and development of new technology. Our participants have been randomly chosen from age and gender-based categories from the population database of Bialystok. These are participants aged between 20 and 80. We have drawn 8,320 persons, and this population exactly resembles the general population of this age group of the city. The data was obtained from the mayor's office, and we sent invitations to those participants, up to 5 invitations. The initial evaluation lasted 6 years. As you can probably presume, it was just during the COVID pandemics, which initially we thought it would take us 5 years, but we had to prolong the time because of the first of all, the interruptions in our recruitment, and second, because of the time that when we were able to analyze only 2 or 3 participants per day due to COVID restrictions. So we then decided also to change the follow-up from 5 to every 6 years. We got our ethical committee consent in 2016, and we had 3 pilot phases, which taught us a lot. Even although we had the standard operating procedures already given by the SHIP study, it was very, very important for us to go through and actually to adapt each and every single assessment to our needs and our capacity. And then another very important thing is that we have, in 2023, we have changed the place where we analyzed it. This again prolonged our study, but now we are having much better conditions. So from November 2018, where we enrolled our first participant, until now we have enrolled more than 3,270 participants, and we will stop recruitment in end of January, so we expect to enroll altogether 3,500 participants. And actually today, I think just now, we have the first participants admitted for the re-evaluation after 6 years. So those who were started in 2018 are coming today to our center in Bialystok. What is the funding scheme? The basic funding is provided by Medical University of Bialystok. So the university provides the salary for the researchers, for the technicians, because our study is performed 95% by technicians, provides money for the sample collection and data acquisition. Of course, that allows us also demographic epidemiologic analysis. We collaborate also with the local authorities, and they fund us for this demographic epidemiologic analysis every several years. But this is a rather small amounts of money. But then, when we want to look for particular biomarker or perform particular analysis like genetic or proteomic, we look for financing particular research outside of those basic funding, and we have several funding agencies in Poland. We have also grants from European Union in different frameworks, and that's how we fund our additional research and how we publish our results. And then we also simultaneously want to run joint project with the industry. One of our projects was funded by the company and also funding agency concerned the changes in voice that reflect the changes in health status. So we have these 3 layers of funding. Our participant comes to in the morning, usually 7:30. Of course, first thing what we do is consent. Patient is sent consent before, but if he or she has any doubts or any questions, the technician just explains everything in the morning, and then we have blood collection. In patients without diabetes, we perform oral glucose tolerance test, and then we run examinations and very, very detailed interview. The whole day is about 8 hours. Of course, depends on the extent of problems that the participant is presenting. The elderly patients have also some additional geriatric analysis, geriatric tests, and also they usually have more disease, so we have much more things to ask about, even including detailed medical history of medicines. So what are the major things in our history? Of course, complaints, family history, very, very detailed in children and parents. Disease history, medication history, we usually use ATC groups for medications history. We are very particular about diets, so we take also both 3-day food intake and food frequency questionnaire. These are given to the participants after very extensive explanation how it should be performed, what should be written in those particular positions, and then about 5 or 7 days after the initial assessment, the participant sends back us these food intake or food frequency questionnaire. We put emphasis on the external environmental stressors, including occupation, noise, pollution. Of course, in women, we ask about each pregnancy, delivery, complications during pregnancy, but also during delivery. We have questionnaires for physical activity. It was one of our greatest challenges to explain participants what does particular level of physical activity really mean, because if you ask at the beginning, all participants say, oh, I have so much exercise. I have only the very strenuous exercise 8 hours a day. So their calorie output would be like 3,500 when they declare their food intake for 2,200 calories, so that they would vanish, but they still obese. So, I mean, it's very difficult actually to get those self-report questionnaires to be comparable, and we have spent quite a lot of training for our technicians, and also we try to evaluate the results using different methods, like IPAC. We have IPAC for physical activity, but also other questions concerning the time of the time spent during exercise, or we have different types of diet questions. We also, of course, assess psychological states, so by depression scales, anxiety, quality of life, cognition. We use MOCA, so Montreal scale, but also MMSE, mini mental state exam, and also test your memory, so TIM questionnaire. Then we go for our questionnaires are divided in 3 parts. First part is sent to the participant before the examination, second is during with the technician during the examination, and third one is after examination. We send it after the moment when we assess the patient. During the day, we of course measure the patients very thoroughly. We use bioimpedance for assessing the body mass composition. Also, we use DEXA for body mass composition. Of course, by blood sampling, we also isolate peripheral blood mononuclear cells and deep freeze them for the ex vivo analysis. We perform also microbiome banking from gingival pouches and also from feces. Oral glucose tolerance test, which is one of the things which I find very helpful because the metabolic diseases are a real nuisance, a real threat right now, and something that not many cohorts perform is oral cavity assessment. And what we find is that the oral health is very reflecting the general health. So multimorbidity, but because it combines two or three different things. First of all, socioeconomic position. Second thing, health literacy, and third, general concern about one's health. So I think that's for us quite interesting and rewarding. Then, because I'm a cardiologist, as Marcus already mentioned, we have plenty of cardiovascular assessments like EKG, cardiac ultrasound, carotid ultrasound, abdominal aorta ultrasound, spiroergometry. So these are analyzed in terms of mainly in terms of cardiovascular risk. Apart from that, we have also other assessments: thyroid ultrasound, liver and gallbladder ultrasound. We performed detailed body plethysmography with nitric oxide assessment in the exhaled air, fundoscopy, also hand grip strength. It has shown us that it is very helpful in terms of assessing elderly participants. And then, as I mentioned, we perform voice recording in all our participants. And on another day, on a separate day, we have also a whole body MRI scan without contrast. We scan from head to the knees, where we assess we have detailed assessment of the brain, chest, heart, abdomen, pelvis, and spine, and we use automated protocols for analysis of those images. In-house, we have we have used algorithms developed by others for the assessment, for example, of this white matter hyperintensities, which you see here, and these are thought to be very early vascular dependent lesions. We have also analyzed the white matter diffusibility using different algorithms. So this is semi-automated analysis. We work with Imperial College in London for automated cardiac function. We were lucky to contact with Professor Stefan Petersen, who actually does this automated analysis for the UK Biobank, and his team also does the same analysis for us. So I hope that our results, once we finish this cohort, will be again very comparable to the UK Biobank MRI results. So as I mentioned, up to now, about 30 to 170 participants have been enrolled and examined. By today, probably closer to 3,300, but it was several days ago. What we did, we have performed Illumina Infinite Global Screening Array using analyzing single nucleotide polymorphism. This array gives us 700,000 different polymorphisms, and we use databases to impute up to 3.5 million different SNPs. And by the end of the cohort, by February, we hope to genotype all the participants. We are very keen on proteomic data. We, in Sweden, in Olink company, we have performed 5 panels, 96 cytokines each, in almost 750 subjects. And since last month, we have started to extending this to the whole population in our lab, because we are doing right now this analysis in-house. Interestingly, we have performed also the same analysis in samples from blood taken 2 hours after glucose loading in oral glucose tolerance test. So we can see which cytokines are regulated by the glucose or insulin or other mechanisms. And this is quite interesting, because, as I will tell you in a moment, we have a quite substantial number of participants in whom we diagnose diabetes. We diagnose diabetes in about 6.3% of our population, of our assessed population, which is a large number. If you look at the epidemiological analysis from the early 21st century, it was like this, 50%. Since then, I thought that it would change, that less and less people would be diagnosed diabetes newly using such epidemiological studies, but apparently it does not change. On the opposite, we see more and more pre-diabetes diagnosed during our study. We also have a very strong metabolomic team in our university, and we have our study is concentrated on targeted metabolomics. We use Biocratis platform P180 and P500, and the results are not ready yet, but they are under investigation. We have also analyzed fecal microbiome based on 16S sequencing, and we have got grant for shotgun metagenomics for the next year, and we hope that next year we'll have fecal microbiome assessed using this more robust method. I haven't mentioned, but of course we also ask very detailed about the addictions. So, for example, we use audit tests for alcohol consumption and addiction, and Fagerström test for nicotine dependence. We also analyze the sleep using Epworth Sleepiness Scale and Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. So we have also this information. Concerning the examinations, we have, I told you about anthropometry. We measure neck, waist, abdomen, hips, thigh, and mid-thigh. Also index finger to ring finger ratio, which apparently, based on previous analysis, should be a parameter that reflects prenatal exposure to testosterone. So we use in-body for the muscle composition, for the body composition. We use VividE for all our ultrasound analysis. We have DEXA for the body composition, and also composition of the bones. We also do advanced glycation end products using H-reader. But personally, I don't think this provides us so much information. On the other hand, from information that we can see that reflects very well cardiovascular risk, we have also pulse wave velocity and central pressure using Vascular Explorer. So we have the brachiofemoral pulse wave velocity and central pressure. We perform orthostatic tests in all our participants. And of course, I forgot to mention before, almost at the beginning, but I think we lost about 500 participants, we introduced elastography of the liver, which can provide us information on steatosis and fibrosis of the liver. As I mentioned, we perform oral healthcare tests, where we have we analyze both peridental changes, but also caries. We do not perform all oral, but we we randomly assess quarters of the oral cavity to assess. This is how our building looks like. The participants enter from this side. They see our main receptionist, Janetta, and of course this is where they can sit and wait. If, for example, here it's how we explain how the 3-day food history should be notified, because we show what are the sizes of the portions and what we do. Then the participants perform multiple tests. You can see here bioimpedance, which we use, so in body 770. This is spiroergometry, oral cavity examination, and something that I told Marcus I'm most fond of is this blood testing using these seat armchairs, and they allow us to avoid the fainting of our participants, which was not the case when we used normal chairs or normal places to take blood. So we also performed and recorded films for our participants, especially during the COVID, when we all wore gowns and masks and everything and screens, so they should see how it develops, what it looks like, why we do it, and we provide these films for the participants. In general, when we take blood, we take different types of blood serum or also plasma. Then we aliquot to the particular vials in biobank. We also take saliva, we also take perigingival pouch fluid, we also take urine and feces, and we also that aliquot. Altogether, we have 99 samples per patient that we biobank. And from what we do, apart from simple biochemistry, we also perform quite extensive analysis using bioimmune methods, both hormones, but also biomarkers like troponins, anti-proBNP, interleukin-6, and that's something that we would like to concentrate on. In urine, we analyze electrolytes, albumin, creatine ratio as well. And these results provide us with different approaches and different ways to use for international cooperation. We have been successfully cooperating with Germany, especially with Sebastian Baumeister, who was one of the persons who actually helped us introducing this method. And we also were a part of the Cohort consortium, which assessed the psychological effects of COVID pandemics. We were part also of the consortium establishing new cardiovascular disease risk scores. This was, for example, SMART, and again, oral diseases or periodontitis diseases using proteomics. This also is something that we do in-house, so we are not concentrated. The data are not consumed by the group that we created, but we actually share that, and actually more PhD studies have been performed from outside our group than from the inside. So I think that that's something that we can be proud of, that we share the information so much. And this is one of the most recent studies that we performed, showing that how prevalent is multimorbidity among our population. And you see that multimorbidity starts actually with 2 or more diseases. So even, of course, depending how you establish what disease is hypercholesterolemia a disease, or is it a state which creates risk? Is early stage of kidney disease a disease or a risk of state? So depending how you actually set a criteria for disease, that's how you should define multimorbidity. In our population, we define it as a disease or state that requires intervention. So actually, hyperlipidemia requires intervention. Actually, obesity requires intervention. Not necessarily intervention should be pharmacological, but it requires intervention because it increases the risk. So that's why we see that this is a really astounding number. As I mentioned to you, many of these translate into metabolic diseases. It is caused by metabolic diseases, and we also included our metabolic diseases analysis, for example, metabolically associated steatotic liver disease, and we saw that out of 2,572 participants, we were able to diagnose this metabolically associated steatotic liver disease in 565 participants. And as one would expect, obesity, diabetes, hypertriglyceridemia and hypertension were the most affecting factors of that. As I mentioned previously, we have performed also a study using, with the help of our colleagues from the company called TECMO, called VAMP, Voice Analysis for Medical Professionals, where we were able to notice some of the changes in the voice that would be associated with the health changes. And I think that's something that hopefully we will be able to commercialize sometime in the future. Then apart from that, we are involved in the activities, in the grants with other cohorts. We collaborate very closely, as I mentioned to you, with Greifswald, so this is a SHIP study, but also with the Rotterdam study in Erasmus. And one of our common projects was Join Us for Health. This was a responsibility, research and innovation type project where we wanted to involve the local communities in Rotterdam, Greifswald and Bialystok to get involved in the health and in research, mostly actually research, but also in the healthy lifestyle. From many actions that we performed, several are quite interesting and important. We created a citizen science council where citizens actually help us to look at what we should do or how we should proceed with our studies. We performed some actions among teenagers where the teenagers actually created social media content to promote healthy lifestyle and research. And also we have presented such boards where someone could look at and how they fit into the general population of Bialystok inhabitants. I will show you in a second. So this is a combination of diversity and inclusion, anticipation of reflection, openness and transparency, and adaptive to change. We were also first the university in Poland to introduce this approach in the studies in our curriculum. This is an example of what we have done and what we are still developing. For example, someone can enter their age, gender, BMI, or other parameter and may see how they look at the wider frame of our participants. We take, of course, example from older cohorts, and we always think that collaboration is very important for the development of our study, of our research. And we, for example, Netherlands have created Netherlands Cohort Consortium, where they combine the efforts of, I think, 11 different cohorts, and they together apply for grants and together perform research. We collaborate, of course, of at least connected with several cohorts. Apart from Rotterdam and SHIP, we have also connections to Picture, which is a younger cohort in Wrocław, in Poland. We have connection with Epirus Health Study, and of course, we have met and have seen the Cantabria cohort. We have organized 2 conferences about the population studies, and the lectures are available online on this address. We also collaborate with different entities concerning novel analytical methods, because what we have a multiple number of variables with not so many cases, because as I mentioned to you, we have got slightly more than 3,000 cases, but we have thousands, and if you actually include also SNPs, millions of different variables. So we collaborate, for example, with Seattle Institute of System Biology, and this is something that we have not yet published, but we think it's very, very interesting. The gradient boosting, where we see how the change in one parameter on a particular moment affects the change of the other parameter, and that can tell us that maybe some of our cutoffs, for example, for BMI or waist or insulin resistant, may be dependent, for example, on age. We have performed also new analysis with Olink from Sweden. This is analysis for the oral glucose tolerance test with the proteins which are associated with the glucose at particular time points. So, as I mentioned today, we start the follow-up, and we will use more extensively electronic medical records. That's our plan to combine our database with the electronic medical records database. We start using assessing activity using smartwatch, but also we will assess the cardiac output during exercise tests using a device called PhysioFlow. We offer our participants now a standardized meal for a week, during which we will continuously monitor glucose, so we'll be able to compare the effect or the response of different participants to the same meals. We extend our ophthalmic examination to optical coherence tomography. We use also sleep apnea examination in subset of our participants. And of course, we change projections in MRI to focus on new pathways, new lesions in the brain. And our arm is also extended to the children, so we not only we analyze our participants, but we also analyze children of our participants who during the next 5 years will be in the age 11 to 16. So we will be able to combine the information of the health status of parents and children. And initially, when I visited Greifswald, I was very impressed by their cohort, but I thought, okay, it should not be a problem. We should be able to introduce this. But right now, I think that the initial hopes were just exaggeration. But nevertheless, I think that my motto is one from Winston Churchill, saying that success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts, and this courage to continue has this group of people. As you can see, the most very young technicians who perform our investigations. We develop very fast, and we have new generation of our staff. So if you would like to visit us online, our new website is ready. It's not complete yet. We still did not put the data dictionary online. So if you would like to, this is a general description of the cohort of what we do, of particular examinations. But if you want to have more information, including the data dictionary, please do not hesitate to contact me using these emails. And I'd like to say that apart from our cohort, we collaborate with our infectious diseases department, because we are endemic region for borreliosis and also all different type of tick-borne diseases, and we have very strong infective disease department. So our department is also very open for collaboration, and they are very strong in terms of not only science but also development, because some of their biomarkers that they were able to identify during metabolomic investigations was patented as a novel biomarker for tick-borne diseases. And our colleagues also perform multiple investigations with multiple cohorts. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, please ask me.
Okay, thank you so much for this impressive talk and cohort. Karol, your cohort is different from ours. Ours is in number, yours is in approach, because you have 8 hours study per volunteer, which is so much. First thing I wonder is how you manage with the funding. I mean, you said that your university hospital is funding the basic, but this is too much basic. So which is your budget and how you do it?
Okay, so we have we have been looking for the money ever since we started thinking about it. So I spent 2015 and 2016 almost exclusively writing grants. And then I found out that nobody wanted to finance a cohort. Nobody was interested in financing a cohort. We were unlucky because actually it was in that European framework which ended in 2014, I think, which funded cohorts then. And many cohorts appeared in Europe then, but we were too late. So in 2015-16, nobody wanted to fund any cohort. So what we, I was lucky because it was not my idea. Let's put it straight, it was idea of our former rector. He had this idea that we should perform a large longitudinal cohort study in Bialystok. So he said, okay, we were able to, in 2013, we were able to have money for research, new research infrastructure, and then after, from the regional development money, and then in the 2017 or 18, I think we have started building this new building, and that was actually something that allowed us thinking about cohort, because that allowed us to really perform these all examinations using devoted equipment and also devoted people. Because the most important thing about this is that we have people who just are very well trained and are very well supervised by the others to follow very strict standard operating procedures. So that was very, very important. And these are technicians that we employ, and they are just employed by the university. So this comes from the general funds of the university. As you can see, I think we have right now 11 technicians. So for the whole university, it's not a huge budget, but for this, it's just absolutely substantial. Then simultaneously, when I found out that nobody wants to fund cohort studies, we started to apply for grants for particular projects that may involve our cohort. So as I mentioned, this voice analysis was funded by the National Center for Research and Development of Poland. That gave us money for these analyses, this for example, biochemical analysis, this autoimmune analysis, hormonal analysis, but also gave us possibility to do MRI, for example. So when that finished, I applied before for another grant, then it was for the COVID grant, and then it was for another grant for metabolic diseases. So simultaneously, we have always double. For the salaries, we have just university. For the infrastructure, it was the grant from the regional development program, and for those biochemistry or other analysis, is just grant every time that we apply. We are also lucky to get some. The university was also lucky to get some money for the omic projects, because there was a call in Poland for the large omic projects, and since we were available, our data was available, our biomaterial was available, we applied for that, and we got the money for the genotyping and also proteomic. So that was again another project that was part of the larger university project. So it's always a struggle, especially that our technicians in university earn really a very small salary, but they are extremely highly trained, extremely professional. So again, it's my responsibility to find another money to support their commitments and to keep them in our university, which is not easy at all.
Yeah, we have the same problem with our team. The salary and the stability. Okay. Any question in the room? Well, yes, Maria Jose.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's really awesome, your cohort. I want to ask you about the cohort. It's an urban cohort. Why don't you, or I think that's mean that you don't, the participants are not from the countryside.
Yes.
And why?
This is just because we think that, or we thought that we will not have sufficient participation rate if the distance to the hospital is larger. At the moment, we have about 40-something%. I think that if everything goes right, we will have more than 32% participation rate, which on one hand is small, on the other hand is large. If you compare to other cohorts which follow similar pathway as ours in other parts of Europe, it is high because right now it's usually below around 30%. But on the other hand, we would like to be as representative as possible, and therefore for me it's 40%, and we have analyzed that 40% is a lower margin of representativity for the population. That's why we did not go for the whole regional cohort. We have performed other smaller analyses, and those analyses in those pilot studies that I have shown you, in one of those pilot studies we included people from the whole region, and we saw that there was much lower representation of people from outside of the city than from the inside of the city. Of course, the surrounding of the city, those small places which are just outside the city, their representativeness was fine, but it was not really rural population, because they are just living in the villages, but actually work and live in the city. So therefore, we decided just to stick to the one relatively homogeneous group, so that we have at least relatively appropriate representation. So I agree with you. This is one of the major problems of our population, that it isn't just strictly urban population.
Thank you. And another question is about the how do you convince participants to stay such a long time during a day or more than a day, no? 3 days.
Oh, okay. So what it's actually 1 day that they have to take the day off. That's true. That's a problem for them. We have convinced some of the employers, to give them day off. For example, a hospital, the university give the day off for their employees. They don't have to take their holidays. It's what they get back is something that it convinces them that they get all the information from all the studies back. So that's why they are interested in their physical capacity, in their lung capacity, in their ultrasound, and they get all the information back. And each visit is finished by talking to a doctor. Initially, it was face-to-face. After COVID, we switched to the telephone contact. And that's something that convinces them to come for the whole day. For the MRI, however, we have about 35% of those who are in our study to have an MRI. About 25% have contraindications, but the rest actually are not consenting because it requires another visit. So that's what we see is just we try to stick to just one visit, and then on the way to work or back, they bring us, for example, these fecal samples. They send us by email for the questionnaires, or they complete the questionnaires online, because most of our questionnaires are online. And then another day, or actually night, because our MRI is performed usually late in the evening, because we are scientific study, so the normal studies have priority. So our studies are like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. So if the participants want to have MRI, they go another night to the center for the MRI.
Congratulations for your work. I'm a nephrologist, and my question is about if you know what kind of urine analysis did you perform, because albuminuria may be too expensive.
Yeah, we do albuminuria, we do ACR, so we do albumin creatinine ratio in all. I'm smiling because I'm very interested in the kidney function, because I believe it's very in the center of cardiovascular and metabolic interactions. Unfortunately, we do not see so much kidney disease, severe kidney disease. What I think is that people with severe kidney disease they are too sick to consider a visit to our center as a benefit. So they have their nephrologist, 99% have cardiologist, maybe about 60% have diabetologists who treat them, so they at least have 3 different doctors plus family medical doctor to look after them, so they don't feel compelled to come to us. So we personally, we have not finished our analysis on the kidney disease yet, but I see that there's less stage 4 and 5 kidney disease that I would expect. These are just single digits. We have done cystatin C, EGFR, and creatinine EGFR, and we have performed ACR. And we are trying to find money for FGF21, just to look at how this affects, because based on our proteomic analysis, FGF21 is again very strongly associated with both metabolic disturbances and cardiovascular risk. So I think that's something we will continue in the future. But I cannot tell you exactly what are the numbers right now.
I think that in our cohort, the problem is the same, that we have very few patients with chronic kidney disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Karol, for your nice talk. It's an impressive work. I do have a question about the study of these complex diseases that you said. So you are mainly interested in the involvement of genetics and the environment into the diseases. So did you have a special attention on twins or whole families to select the participants in the cohort?
No, until now we did not select that. From this follow-up, we will also analyze the health of children and the other spouse. Okay, so we have not the only our study participant, their children, but also their spouses. So we will know more about family interactions. Right now, there is a new study in Poland established concerning twins. And again, as I told you, we are very keen on collaboration. We have started at least declaration of interest to create the area where we will share our procedures. So we will try to get as much normalization and comparability between our cohorts as possible. So maybe then that will be available. So I know that they're starting right now in Poznań, I think. So we do not have twins.
Yeah,
no.
thank you. So at the end, your selection was completely random, let's say.
Yes, our selection was completely random. That's
Okay,
what our assumption is.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's time to close. Very interesting talk and discussion. And you have presented one of the infrastructures that I would like to have here in the IDIVAL or university, which is O-link proteomics, which is now the trend, and it will be very important for clinical trials and other studies. And the other point here was to try to find out meeting points between our people from the hospital with our cohort and yours, and try to find out links and areas of work together. Thank you so much to everybody for coming, and thanks, Karol.